Welcome to the Life on Purpose podcast, conversations that explore holistic health, intentional living, learning, and growing. I'm your host, Brandy Eilert. All right, welcome back to the Life on Purpose podcast. Today, my guest is Larisa Petrini. She is an age reversal expert and epigenetic specialist known for turning back the clock 10 years. Who doesn't want that? We were just talking about that. Also, the founder of BODYOLOGY, a proprietary system, designed to help high-performing women reverse their age and sizzle with energy and confidence in the midlife years, which again, we were just talking about that. I will be 40 this year. I could use some of that extra energy.
You look gorgeous. Can I say that for your listeners that you look gorgeous?
You're so sweet. So welcome, Larisa. Thank you. Like I said before, we were talking off air and I did an episode on aging, but it was more on really dealing with kind of the internal struggle of aging. You and I are going to discuss a little bit about how we can kind of turn back the time physically, right? And jumping into kind of the epigenetics. So, before we really get into the ins and outs of all of that, let me just hear a little bit about you. How did this start for you? Why is it a passion of yours? Why did you choose to go down this path and working with people to kind of reverse the aging and really live the best and most healthy life they can?
Well, I have a pretty interesting story, and I would start with 2009. This is the year when two major events happened in my life. The first one was an unexpected divorce, totally unexpected divorce. And the second one, this happened a few months after I was misdiagnosed, thanks God, with thyroid cancer.
Oh, wow.
So these two events were very, very strong, if it's the right word. And then the first decision I took, and it was honestly the best one back then, I said to myself, I will need a break. And I also need a mirror, metaphorically speaking, a mirror. I will take the mirror with me wherever I will go and have a look into the mirror and see how come I am in this particular place. Mm-hmm. So I went in Malaysia, in the middle of jungle, in Borneo, to be more specific, the middle of nowhere, literally. No electricity, no water. It was the shock was huge, and it was exactly what I needed. So I went there with my best friend and spent 2 months in the jungle. Wow. And that was at that time I was running a very, very successful public relation and communication agency. I was on the cover of magazines. I was in all the tops possible, and I had a successful career, but I wasn't well inside. You just mentioned some before getting into the show, and also in the beginning, about what most people call, or most women call, midlife crisis, like an existential crisis, more or less. Some call it like that. For me, and this is of course when I look back, I was 30 back then, and I wasn't able to perceive it like that. But now, looking back, it was the greatest gift of my life, to be honest with you. So back then, I decided right in the jungle, the fact that I'm gonna help as many women as possible avert this type of crisis in their life. Yeah. And I took the decision to leave the agency, to change the domain as well. My mom is also very, very passionate about nutrition and healthy living and healthy eating. She also had a chain of stores with healthy food. She's now retired. She sold her business, but she was very passionate, and I was very passionate, and we were always exchanging information and talking and chatting about everything and anything. And I was like, what if I'm gonna do this? And this year, I'm celebrating 10 years since I took the first certification. So I started as a nutrition coach, and then I moved into sleep. I'm also a certified sleep coach. And the last frontier, if I can call it like that, even though I don't think it's the last one, was epigenetics. So epigenetics is, from my perspective, also the future of health. Is definitely something that we are going to hear more and more about, because it's all about personalization. And when it comes to someone's health, especially during these days in which we don't have so much time with our physicians, right? They don't have a lot of time with us when we go to check something specific. And also another issue from my perspective is the fact that most of them, just because the time is not there, and sometimes even the know-how, right, to have a holistic look at a patient, you need someone to have a broader perspective and have a 360 approach, whether we call it integrative, whether we call it holistic, it doesn't matter the word, right? So that was my dream, to actually do something and specialize myself into a domain that's gonna be science-based. This was the number one, if you want, the qualification criteria.
Sure.
So science-based, and then the second thing, it will have the ability to actually solve the root cause.
Right.
Because oftentimes we approach an expert or a physician, and they are so focused on the symptom instead of being focused on what actually caused the issue in the first place, right? The root cause. So what I do as we speak, I helped so far hundreds of women. And as we speak, I have lots of either group coaching clients or private clients who manage to put on the side all the trials or trial and error, if you want, and guesswork, and be super focused. And if you want, metaphorically speaking, of course, press the right buttons for themselves, for their body. And this is also the reason why I say it's the future of health, because epigenetic, and I will explain a little bit what epigenetic is, also because it's pretty new, and for some people it's might be a question mark there. Right. So epi is coming from, it's the Greek prefix from, and it means above or on top of, right, or if you want, in addition to. And epigenetics is the type of intervention, I would call it like this for now, that helps you control how your genes behave and function. And if you want, it's the intersection between genetics, the way your body is built, your DNA, and then nutrition, environment, and also the way diet, micronutrients, exercise, also stress and sleep can all change the methylation and expression of our genes. It's truly revolutionary. And it's revolutionary because we oftentimes hear the fact that genes are not destiny, right? Your DNA is not destiny. And why we say that? Because genes are important. From my perspective, the knowledge is important. Like, we need to know whether or not there is a special or specific predisposition to a disease, right? What we do after is even more important. And we have control. I like to use another metaphor here, which is, it's almost like you have a remote control in your hands, and you literally can change. In other words, you can control whether or not you activate or you inactivate certain genes that you inherited, have them, and simply avoid that specific disease. So you can definitely navigate through and actually get in the best place possible when it comes to health and also beauty, because of a big chapter in the report we use, it's skincare, for example. This is a gold mine for our clients, because they literally, I am pretty famous for asking clients to throw away 90% of their skincare products, and take into account just a few, and the ones that are truly best for them and what they need. It's collagen, for example. It's so trendy for everyone to consume collagen. It's not for everyone. Just because I don't say it does harm. It's just that if you don't need it because your body is producing enough collagen, this is the most abundant protein in our body, right? So if your body is producing that, you don't need to take extra. Of course, there is another conversation in regards to the quality of that collagen. But it's interesting because we have a look into this 200 pages report. I would say proudly the fact that we partnered with the worldwide leader in genetics. So this is the number one lab in the world. This is the most complex, literally the most complex genetic report available right now on the planet. And they also have a dedicated app. This is for our clients only.
Wow.
It's not for mass market. So inside this app, they get everything, like every genetic data. They also get all the epigenetic strategy and the exact steps and intervention they can take into account. Personalized meal guide and also personalized training and movement. So it's truly revolutionary. It's really, really good. And again, I don't want to sound biased or subjective, but this is truly the very distinct and unique approach to the way anyone can take care of their health and beauty.
Well, and I think it takes the guesswork out, kind of like what you were saying before. It takes the guesswork out of really kind of throwing all these different supplements, techniques, products at an issue, not knowing if they're necessarily going to work for you or not. They may not interact with your body the way they will someone else. And to be able to have that, I think, in front of you that says, all right, this is how you're built. This is how certain supplements or foods or whatever will interact with your cells. Maybe let's avoid these and add these. How quickly can people expect to see a difference in their health when they actually follow what the report is suggesting?
We offer a follow-up epigenetic report. This is a shorter report, like it's probably 20-25 pages. And this is offered as a bonus complimentary to our clients for them to see how their biological age changed. So we offer this at 6 months. Some clients want to do it at 3. We usually suggest 6 months. Now it depends a lot, right? Because if someone is very busy, I work with most of my VIP clients are 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs or celebrities. I also work with royalty, people coming from royalty. So it's they are high achiever. They are busy people. They are people who are all the time, not all the time, but most of their time stressed, right? And they have so many things to deal with in the same time. So for these people, sleeping for 8 hours or sometimes not even possible. Incorporating, sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. Most of them are pushing a lot through the week, like from Monday to Friday, for example, and then they take the weekend off. Some of them are even completely disconnected from their work and they simply enjoy weekend. Some others work a certain amount of hours. They prefer to wake up at 5 and work until 3, 4 in the afternoon and then have their evening free. So it's very different for each person. And of course, the genetic makeup, their DNA is also important. That's why we recommend 6 months. Most of them see huge results in 2-3 months. And specifically for when it comes to skincare, issues such as acne or specific signs on the skin that are there for many years. And some of them, most of them are linked with what they consume, with their gut health, right? One of the chapters in the report is also gut health and immunity. And 70% of the way our skin looks has to do with what we eat, not with the potions, lotions, interventions, minimally
People are not going to love to hear that.
I know, but this is the truth. Actually, it might be a good news for most of them, because going into, I don't know, having 2-3 minimal invasive procedures a month is way more expensive than adding some healthy foods on the plate, right? At least from my perspective. So,
I had no problems making those alterations in my life, like for my own health. And I had no problems when I started seeing the results kind of on my skin to save money on all those crappy products anyway.
And we also, that's another misconception, the fact that we need to use, 15-20 products in order to get results. Or another one is we need to buy the most expensive lotions, potions, or creams in order to get results. That's another misconception. I don't say they are not good. Some of them are amazing, truly amazing, but sometimes you can have an amazing protocol with products that are medium range, and even incorporating some serums or certain supplements. It's not so much about lotions, it's way more about supplements and what you eat. So again, the percentage is 70% and only 30% is the routine and what we actually do with our skin on the outside. Yeah.
So when somebody comes to you and is really wanting to boost their vitality and their health and to kind of turn back the page of time, the first thing that you do then is get an epigenetics report. Is that correct?
Yeah. So this is the number one actually is for them to fill in an intake form. So we have a look at their family history, all their history, health history, of course, and then we also have a look into what happened in their family, and then their habits and how they live and what decisions they take every day in regards to that. So this is the number one step. The second step is obviously the epigenetic, the genetic report, right? We send out a DNA kit. It's there in 2 days maximum, thanks to UPS and DHL couriers. So they get the kit. It's a do-it-yourself kit. Saliva is all we need. This is when it comes to DNA, saliva is the only important ingredient, if I can call it like that. Right. So they send back the kit, we send the kit to the lab, and then in a matter of a few weeks, they get the result. They are notified in the app. So they use our app right from the beginning. They get notified. The app populates every single section with their data. And then they have what we call a blueprint intensive with me. So
that's coming in and having you actually interpret the results.
Yeah. Okay. So this is when we sit face to face sometimes. Some other times, if I work with clients from Canada, from US, from all over the place. So sometimes it's possible, sometimes it's not. So we spend 3-4 hours, it depends. Some clients want to split this into 3 sessions and also split the topics. And the reason sometimes is the fact that they want to have some time in between these topics, just in case they have questions and they need to follow up on that. And we split this into diet, supplements, and movement. And then we do mental health, sleep, stress. And then the third one is gut health, immunity, disease prevention, and skincare. So this is another way to do it.
Are all of these, given that everybody has different genetic predispositions, and also that everybody's protocol is going to look very differently, do you do this in phases for them? Do they work on? Okay.
Yeah. So
it's not so overwhelming that you're trying to do all of these.
No. And our client's job is not to get every single word in the report, right? It's 200 pages. It's almost like we like to call it their body Bible. It's literally like your user's manual, right? So they don't need to, I wouldn't say understand, because it's written in a way that anyone can understand. It's just that they don't need to remember all those details. So what's important for them is the protocol and what they need to implement and when. Right. So the timing of their protocol, when they implement, is definitely phased. And we usually discuss inside this blueprint intensive, we discuss the 3-month, what we call the 100-day plan. And this is their first sprint. And then we have the maintenance phase, in which they know what to do for the rest of their life. And for some,
because that report's not going to change. That is your DNA.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. The only thing that is changing, and this is the reason why we offer this bonus report in 6 months, is their biological age and the epigenetic part. This is something that it's changing.
You can actually measure your biological age and then see if what you're doing is actually working.
Yeah, exactly. And what they're doing, because it's a teamwork, right? They also need to implement. It's not only the strategy. And this is the reason why inside we only have one single mastermind, one single program, and then we have the VIP option for our clients. And that's it. Inside the program, this is called Glorious 40. Inside this program, this is a 12 months mastermind. The first 3 months are foundational, and they are all about mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason we do that is the fact that if mindset is not right, chances are, with all the goodies we give away, like the strategy, the app, the genetic report, the epigenetic strategy, and the genetic report, and everything, and also the blueprint intensive experience, it's still, I mean, they will go back to square one, just because it wasn't about the information or additional information. It was more about their mindset.
You know what I find very interesting in the women that I've worked with over the past few years is that there is a period at the beginning when you make this decision to really start to focus on your health and to get back on track and to, like you said, even turn back the pages of time. There's a period of feeling lost and overwhelmed and kind of needing that time to really get your mind around it and to be prepared. Because what I found really interesting is that we really become so addicted to our stress and so addicted to the life that kind of got us here, that it's hard to really pull the brakes on that. And it takes a little bit of time. So you can say, okay, I am committed. I will be able to implement this kind of life and these kind of changes, but you are so wrapped up in all of these other habits that it takes so much time to kind of stop.
Yeah, exactly. This is one thing. And then the other thing is how everyone around us reacts to that. Yeah. Right? Because suddenly you prioritize yourself. And up until yesterday or last week, everyone else was important except yourself. You were the last on the list. And we do this in inside the program. And I do this when I coach my clients. We talk a lot about what our mothers or grandmothers modeled for us when we were kids, right? Because what we saw was what I like to call the martyr or the martyr syndrome. Our moms had that. And this is the type of syndrome, again, is metaphorical, used metaphorically. The martyr syndrome is when someone sacrifices herself or himself, we're talking specifically about moms now, so that everyone else is well, everyone else is prioritized, everyone else gets what they need except for ourselves, right? We don't need the nails to be in place or done right, or hair, or we are the last ones if we have time, if we have resources, if we have energy, and so on. And it's said to me, at least, and also for my clients, to look at our moms and see the fact that their whole universe is their kids. Right. It's almost like a codependent relationship with them, right? If I don't call my mom, she's freaking out. Oh my God, I was worried. And I explained to her, Mom, worry is an unnecessary feeling you created. We don't need that. And for her, it's a form of love, right? I am worried for you, therefore I love you. And it's not true. It's just a way to put pressure on someone by saying I'm worried for you or about you. And it's not easy to change anyone. And it's not our purpose, obviously, to change our parents. But it's interesting how conditioned we are and how easy we basically borrowed those limiting beliefs. And it's not easy to decondition ourselves as women and to start prioritizing ourselves, because what we hear is, you are selfish, or how come you do that, or how come you delegate that, or how come you hire so much help in your house, and so on, right? People, specifically, this is also very interesting, generally other women are more judgmental. Not so much men, but other women are. This is at least what my clients are telling me. My friends, my sister, my colleagues are so judgmental when they hear or I share with them the fact that I outsource some of my housework, for example, or even homeworks with my son, and so on. And it's interesting to see that.
That is very interesting, in the sense of, there is that internalized feeling of, okay, if I'm stressing over my kids and I'm stressing over my home, the more I love my kids and my home, and the more, so if that is internalized in you, and then you see somebody doing something very different, what does that say to you? Even if it's not necessarily the reality, and it's not the reality for the person that's putting those things into place. Yeah, that is very fascinating. Yeah. And I have also heard that, when somebody kind of starts taking these different steps to take control of their life and their health, that the people around them don't necessarily take it all that well.
Yeah, and then the reactions could be something like, she's having a crisis. No, I'm still something along the lines, right? Like, oh, she's in her 40s, of course she's having a crisis, or she started to wear shorter skirts, or maybe, I don't know, something that is too bold or too colorful, or she turned blonde, or she turned red or brunette. Or it's very interesting how, just because at some point in our life, and oftentimes I say this to my clients, what if we rebrand this midlife crisis into midlife creation? Mm-hmm. And instead of perceiving it as being an existential crisis, it's actually a huge opportunity for us to reinvent ourselves and to rewrite the second act or chapter of our life. Right. And yes, this is something that happens when our kids are ready or close to that moment when they leave the nest, as I like to call it. Yeah. We start to freak out a little bit, like, oh my God, they are leaving, and what's my purpose here? Yeah. What I'm doing with my time, with my free time. I was so dedicated and so focused on them and their homeworks and clothes and school and this and that. And now what?
What do I have?
Right. Exactly. And this is when most of my clients, if not all, are coming my way or our way, mm-hmm. When they go through this type of conversation with themselves. We like to call it, to call this moment the mirror moment. Right. So they have a look in their mirror and they then don't recognize themselves. Not only physical, right. It's not just a physical, but also physical. They have a look in the mirror and they're like, I want my body back. What's going on here?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's real. It's not even something that we, it's not a story, right? This is what our body is going through. Aging accelerates in our 40s, yeah. Whether we like it or not. As I shared with you earlier, I am 43 and I experience certain symptoms. And it's interesting, even for me, because I know everything in theory. And I stay in this energy of curiosity instead of freaking out and being concerned and so on. But I see my muscle mass is not the same. For example, we start losing muscle mass as we age, and then my hormones are not the same as before. And this is obvious for me because I experience some ups and downs with my menstruation. So that's another thing. And then the quality of my sleep is not the same as before. Some days are great, some days, depending on how much I work or how stressed I am, is changing. And I'm talking here about the quality of sleep, not the quantity. And I use Aura for analytics, so I have a look into that.
I absolutely love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm obsessed with information anyway. My husband and I both use our Aura rings, and it's really interesting to kind of factor in, use this information, kind of what's going on in your life at the time. Am I stressed a little bit extra? Did I have too much caffeine today or whatever? And be able to kind of measure those analytics. It's really interesting. Right. So even someone who does the work that you do is dealing with the aging process and is dealing kind of with these vitality issues, really. I guess for me, that's the most important. As I age, I still want to feel vital, and I still want to feel strong and healthy and important. And so do you find that a lot of women, you said, kind of show up in midlife with these kind of big life changes, that it really comes down to purpose first as a function of their health. So I am lacking purpose, therefore, my health is feeling, I'm feeling less vital and I'm feeling less healthy because I have no purpose anymore.
Yeah, it's something like that. I would say it starts on the inside, and then the trigger is pulled on the outside, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So it's also easier, I would say, to start from the outside when you want to fix something, right? Because it's you need to be available, if that's the right word, to have a look inside, and to do it the right way, like to really place that metaphorical mirror and see what's there. And it's not easy in the middle of your life, literally in the middle of your life, to first of all to accept or acknowledge the fact that maybe what you did so far career-wise wasn't necessarily what you were passionate about. And then what's next? And what's next, it's not that easy in our 40s to figure it out, right? You need to go through, I went through this process myself for a few good years. I wasn't 100% sure about it, and I had to do lots of personality tests, and I work with mentors and coaches, and slowly and surely, if I can say it like that, I arrived where I am today. But it was a journey. And epigenetics, for example, it's a very complex field. It's not for everyone. I have colleagues who are also nutrition coach or health coach, and they are like, I would never do something like that. It's so complicated and complex, and it's an algorithm that you need to get and to understand, and if you are not passionate, you cannot do it. So I would say they start on the outside, and this is something that is helping a lot, because when you look good, you feel good, right? It's a nice starter, if I can put it like that. So they start there, and then they start feeling good, and their confidence goes up. They don't feel the same. They suddenly take their power back, as I like to say. And from that place, it's easier to work on themselves. Sometimes it's mindset. Some other times it's simply this journey in which they try to figure out their purpose. So it depends. It's not the same for everyone.
Right. And I think everybody's going to have an important factor as it relates to what changes they want to see.
Yeah. And one thing I can share proudly, there are clients, some of them are current clients, some of them are former clients, who had tremendous changes in their life once they joined our program. Some of them went back many of them, I should say, went back in the dating game. They went through a divorce. They decided this is not good for them anymore. The relationship they were in is not good for them anymore, or aligned with who they became. And then they went through a divorce, and now they are either remarried, or they have a great, they are in new relationships.
Yeah.
Another example is there are 3 clients, recent clients of mine, who left their corporate job and became entrepreneurs. They simply decided this is a better path for them, because they felt powerful and confident and more in control of themselves, first of all, and their mindset. Right. And they said, I'm not gonna take any of this anymore. I'm just gonna resign and start over.
And that's absolutely terrifying, I think, for some people, but absolutely necessary.
Yeah.
It's kind of, the metaphor of hitting rock bottom. There's nowhere else to go but up from that point. Yeah, I mean, if you're absolutely miserable and your health is suffering, and therefore your appearance is suffering, and everything in your life feels like it's just not what you want it to be, rock bottom is where sometimes you need to get to be able to make those changes, and create the life that you've always wanted anyway.
Yeah.
Right. So tell me a little bit, I guess more specifically, about some of these more dramatic changes that you've seen with some of your clients.
it's interesting to see, and it's also interesting for them, not only for me. So most of them, I would say, there is like a red flag or an alarm in place when they start piling up pounds.
Okay.
So wrinkles and feeling tired and not sleeping enough and so on, sometimes they can get along with it. But and I'm not talking about a few pounds, I'm talking about 10, 15, 20, 30 pounds, even more. And when this is happening, this is also, or the mirror moment is also there, right? They can use or not use, but wear their best dresses. They start hiding themselves because they are not proud of their body anymore. They start to wear different kind of clothes, with sleeves or large clothes, less colors, lots of black, in order to make them look slimmer and so on. And this is what they share with me, right? So slowly, step by step, they become someone else, almost like someone else. Different body, different way of presenting themselves, different body posture even, different tone of voice, and the confidence is going down and down and down.
So trying to keep themselves smaller.
Yeah. So they come my way with this number one issue. Oh my God, I gained so much weight, and I also recover them from the diet mentality. This is the number one thing we do, because oftentimes they tried quote unquote everything before coming our way. I tried this diet and this book and that protocol and this platform and so on. And they come our way as the last resort. Like, I know you can solve this. I saw the testimonial, so please help me. And they come with this number one big, scary, huge issue. And they end up super surprised to actually reset and transform so many other things in their life. Sleep, stress, mindset, even sexuality. Sometimes immunity and gut health, skincare, right? And they are like, oh my God, I wasn't aware about this. You don't know what you don't know, right? I wasn't even aware about this specific issue I had at the gut level with my immunity. And they go through specific protocols. Sometimes it's a gut reset protocol, some other times it's a hormonal reset protocol, depending on what they need. So I would say some of the juiciest, as we like to call them, or delicious testimonials are around losing those pounds. But they are not, from my perspective, the best. The best ones are actually the ones in which they share the way they totally transformed themselves. They almost say, like, I don't recognize myself. The woman I am today is so different from the woman I was 1 year ago. I don't even recognize myself.
I mean, it must feel absolutely refreshing, given that, you've probably, a lot of the women that you said you've worked with are kind of in this midlife area, have been doing the same things and taking care of others for so long, and then kind of reach this point of, where did I go, to be able to have that boost of, okay, this is something fresh. This is something new. What's next? The excitement behind life again, of having a little bit of mystery to it and some excitement behind it.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the community is also great.
I'm sure.
Yeah, it's the most, this is what they say, our weekly group coaching session is the most awaited session of the week, because there are women just like them. There are lawyers in the program and physicians. I have 3 physicians in the program, which is great, right? It's very interesting.
I love that. I absolutely love that. On this show, I talk a lot about being able, I want to see more of integrating kind of the traditional medicine with this more holistic approach to life that adds like the stress reducing and the lifestyle portion of it. And I really love when there are physicians involved, nurses involved, because they have some of the most high stress jobs and the most high stress lives, and the most, I guess, lack of sleep would be, I have some neighbors here that work night shift, and I can't imagine myself being able to do that, given how much I'm obsessed with my sleep. So
me too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I would love to dig a little bit more into the skincare or the skin aspect of it, and what changes people can see with taking the epigenetic factors, implementing these protocols, and then seeing the changes in their skin. Because I think that was one of my first signs. Again, the kind of the muscle tone was starting to, go down a little bit as I aged, but, starting to see kind of these like more fine lines and drier skin. I think all of us at a certain age would love to be able to kind of take that back a little bit, or at least age more gracefully and not see kind of this rapid decline in our skin health. So can you talk a little bit more about that and what people kind of expect to see, or some changes that people have seen in really implementing this? And it's, again, not all about the creams and what you put on the outside.
Yeah, of course. And then there are some other things or topics, health topics that we are not even aware of. In other words, we are not aware of the fact that if we don't take care of that, or if we simply don't have the know-how in regards to, for example, how our body is converting beta carotene, for example.
Right.
So what we usually translate from the report is the following. We start with probably the number one or the most important information in our report, and this is rate of skin aging. So rate of skin aging is something that gives us lots and lots of insights in regards to literally the way that person is going to age. There are two very important genes there giving us insights, and this has to do with hydration, because our skin tends to lose hydration, and this is when wrinkles occur, right? And this is also the effect the environment has on our skin is also important. Exposure to sun, so we literally have the reaction of that person's reaction to sun, whether or not they should protect or apply sun protection 365 or not. To be honest with you, most of my clients require that. So I would confidently say everyone should use sun protection 365 days a year. So sun damage risk is another important topic in the report, and we talk about that, and we talk about the protocol, and sometimes even supplements for that. It's not always just about the lotion you apply. Sometimes it's important to do it from inside as well. So rate of skin aging and then sun damage risk is another one. The next one is, I mentioned earlier, the beta carotene conversion. This is all about vitamin A. We might consume enough sweet potatoes and everything to be easier for everyone that's orange, right? If it's orange, it has beta carotene. So, and it's also rich in what our skin needs, right? And not just our skin, but also our hair, because we tend to lose some of our hair as we age. So beta carotene conversion is also important, because if we don't convert enough from what we consume, some people don't even consume those foods, but some others, they consume and they are 100% sure it's healthy, and they take in the nutrients, their body is taking in the nutrients, and it's not even the case. So that would be another very important information, I would say, vital. And then we have a very interesting chapter in the report, and this is all about gluten-related skin condition risk. It's called exactly like that. In other words, gluten, for everyone, if they don't know, if anyone doesn't know, sorry, it's a protein contained in wheat, barley, and rye, and it's found in a variety of foods, food items, but not only. Unfortunately, also in skincare products and even shower gels, hair products, and so on. Yeah. So if someone is sensitive to gluten, and this is coming out from our report, and we have three distinct places in the report where we talk about gluten. One is when we talk about diet and how sensitive you are to gluten. And then when we talk about gut health and whether or not this has an impact on the immunity protocol. And the third one is skin. In other words, whether or not when we consume gluten, our skin reacts. And the most popular symptom or obvious symptom is a puffiness, is our face having this puffy look, right? It's not the only one, and it's different for everyone, but it's interesting. And skin is always the greatest. I always say, this is an opportunity, it's a gift. When you see something on your skin, say thank you, because that's a feedback mechanism for you to understand that something fun is going on at the gut level. So this is another one. The next one is likelihood of freckles. And this is different for everyone. And I'm sure you have examples of elder people who have more spots and freckles on their face, and then some other people who don't have those. Depending on what's the predisposition here, whether you are very likely to get those or not, there is a specific protocol for this as well. And it's important because usually aging spots are, first of all, they're called like that because
that happens as you get older.
yeah. This is one thing. And the other thing, there is a very interesting study done a few years ago with dermatologists. So they were physicians in the room for the research, and they saw different faces, and some faces had more freckles than others. And what's interesting, and aging spots, and what's interesting, even for them as professionals, as experts or specialists, they assigned a higher age to those persons or people who had more freckles and aging spots. So we generally, and this is something that is coming out from the research, people generally add a few more years to someone's face or body if the freckles and aging spots are there. So pigmentation is something that we want to take care of, definitely. And there is a specific protocol for that. And this is another conversation we have. Collagen breakdown. I mentioned earlier the fact that not every single woman needs to take that. Sometimes it's a waste of energy and money and time, right? To be concerned with that specific supplement and when we take it and how we take it and so on. And we don't necessarily, not everyone needs that. So some women have what we call a poor breakdown of collagen, and some other women have a high breakdown. So good breakdown, sorry, not high breakdown. So it's either poor or good. So if it's a good breakdown, you don't necessarily need to take the supplement. So that's another key information in the report. And then, and of course, the conversation is not as simple as this, because we need to understand how much movement and exercise is there, and how much, and when it comes to the health of their bones, and also the type of movement and so on. Collagen is not only important for the skin, right? It's also important for our bones and for our health in general. So it's not a simple conversation, but what's good with this report is the fact that it works like a puzzle, and you are able to basically have an integrative look or holistic look and put the pieces in, so that what's coming out is actually what needs to happen. And then we have the skin glycation type of information. And glycation, this is also important, especially in this world we live in. Glycation is a process where insulin doesn't metabolize sugars correctly, allowing the sugar molecules to bind to fat and protein cells such as collagen and elastin. So it's a key information as well. So all these, I hope and we have another last piece of information, which is risk of wrinkles with age. And this again is something that we can do a lot of prevention around. And sometimes it's not just about food and supplements.
Yeah.
I personally am in favor of doing minimal invasive procedures or non-invasive procedures.
Mm-hmm.
If someone wants a high invasive procedure, it's definitely their call. I'm a true believer that every single woman has control and freedom to decide for herself what type of intervention she wants to do. Mm-hmm. It's her body, and she should be the ultimate person who decides that. So I work with lots of clients and all types of clients. Some of them were into that as well. My job is to tell them pros and cons, and in the end they decide.
Right. And I think that's really interesting in the sense that, with these reports, it sounds like A, you're taking the guesswork out of it, but B, you can on the other end of it, save a little bit of money if you know what to throw at it and what not to. What kind of interventions can I use in this particular situation, and what is really probably not going to work for me. I've had a DNA report in the past, and really what it did for me was it really kind of just affirmed what I was dealing with. It made me feel like it wasn't crazy, because it's right there in writing. This is probably what you're, predisposed to. This may be why you're experiencing certain things. But the report that I got was not nearly as in-depth as this, as far as kind of, being able to work on the outward appearance, and we all kind of, especially us ladies, like to be able to see that outward change as well. So you say kind of up to 10 years, being able to turn the time back. That includes wrinkles, age spots? What can we do? What's feasible and what's not?
Yeah, there is. So what's feasible? What's feasible is definitely working on your extra weight. I will start with the number one, not the number one, but the topic most of my clients are coming my way. Yeah. And they, as I said, they end up solving 360 some other issues they were not even aware about. So
just a bonus.
Yeah, exactly. Just a bonus. Total transformation.
Right.
So extra weight, it's definitely doable. And then even for the skin, when we recommend not use certain protocols for whitening the skin, for example.
Okay.
It's called Glorious 40 for a reason. So if you want to get that glow, there are protocols with serums, with supplements, with lots of things that would, even with foods, that would get you there, right? Mm-hmm. Wrinkles, the same. We cannot wipe out wrinkles, you cannot erase them, but you can definitely make them look different by hydrating your skin. And we oftentimes recommend for my clients, they're surprising, for example, a humidifier with cold vapors in your bedroom, in order for you to get the outer hydration for your skin as well. And why is that? Because during summer we use lots of air conditioning, and that's definitely not the highest quality air we want in our bedroom. And then we turn up the heat when it's winter, right? Again, not the right quality or the right type of air we want, and level of humidity and so on. So I just gave you a very simple example of a very small addition or recommendation on their list. They said, oh my God, this is so different for the way my skin looks and so on. Yeah. So the way skin looks, whether it's wrinkles, how glowing the skin is, generally this is what we want, right? Gut health and immunity. This is so key, because and we start there. We start generally with gut health. This is the first, and then we move into hormones, and then we apply anything else. Yeah. Because if we don't reset the gut, no matter what we do after with supplements and food and so on, if our body doesn't have the ability to process the nutrients from the food, because things are not balanced at the gut level, our work is, I mean, it's
futile, sure.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so
right.
Immunity, gut health, disease prevention, quality of sleep, completely. I mean, we could shift from, let's say, from 1 to 10, from 2 to 8 or 9.
So let me ask you this, kind of while we're talking about sleep in particular. This seems to be one that's very difficult for people. To be able to change kind of those sleep habits, and or it's very difficult, and so people give up very easily. How can someone who has a very kind of like high stress job, life, etc., be able to kind of really implement these changes to actually see results?
Well, oftentimes, and this is what I saw after almost 10 years since I do what I do. I'm not talking specifically about epigenetics, but coaching and health coaching, nutrition coaching, and so on. I work with hundreds of women so far, right? So I have, I saw so many things, and I have so many examples around that. Oftentimes, when we are stressed, overworked, overwhelmed, and so on, we tend to engage in activities that are actually triggering us even more. So instead of literally closing, just a simple example, instead of closing the screens or putting the phone on airplane mode, we keep going back to the phone and scrolling the feed or binge watching Netflix and so on. It's not so much, and this is the reason why we wanted so much to have these foundational months in which we work on women's mindset, and we help them acquire better habits, first of all, and understand how this works, because you don't jump on 5 habits in the same time when you want to change something, and you don't do you don't focus on how you execute the habits or how much you work out. You start very small, and then you add more in the process. So one thing we do is to, and I mentioned this, I just mentioned this, we convince them or help them start small. Sleeping well or changing your sleeping hygiene or routine doesn't happen overnight, especially if you did it a certain way for the last 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, right? So you need patience with yourself. And then you need to create some space for those routines. You don't need a lot of time, first of all, but you need to create space, first of all, mental space, and then space in your environment in order to get there. And yes, it's hard. And sometimes you need some accountability in closing that phone or putting the phone on airplane mode and so on, or even in the morning, because I oftentimes say the fact that our sleep routine starts in the morning, not in the evening. This is vital for every human being, to spend 30 minutes outside exposed to natural light in order for our body to, number one, produce more serotonin. 95% of this amazing hormone, it's also called the happiness hormone, is produced at the gut level, and it's also an instrumental hormone for our sleep. So if we don't get enough serotonin, and this is not only from being exposed to natural light, but it's instrumental for that. If we don't get enough serotonin, chances are we will not be able to wind down and to prepare for sleep, and also have a high quality sleep. So this is one of the recommendations. And then for the evening, there are a few things I'm sure you heard some of them about, like closing the screens a few hours before going to bed, having dinner at maximum 7, and give your body the ability to, or the space to process the food.
To rest,
a few hours before going to sleep as well. Being careful with alcohol consumption, being careful with intense physical activity as well, sometimes even intellectual activity, because our brain doesn't have the ability to always shut down properly after that. lots of things, and then air temperature, level of humidity in the bedroom, right? The timing of our sleep.
Right.
When we go to bed is more important than how many hours we sleep. And if we catch what I like to call the prime time hours, this is between 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., we also get all the good, or best, I should say, hormones, especially for us women. Human growth hormone and melatonin is produced specifically inside these prime time hours.
There's a lot that goes on during that period, especially, you know, what you just spoke about, but then also kind of the detoxing process. I mean, you are doing a lot during that time frame at night. So if you know, your organs are not working properly and doing what they're supposed to be doing during that period of time, you're not working on optimal, you know.
But there is from my perspective, a huge gap in terms of information and education when it comes to the timing of our sleep. So many people believe or think the fact that they can catch up and sleep the next day. It's not the same. Certain hormones are released by our body inside certain time intervals. You don't get a human growth hormone at 10 in the morning, for sure.
Although most people probably wish they did. Absolutely. Wow. I'm so impressed with, and like you said, this is kind of revolutionary in the sense that if we all had a glimpse into our blueprint, it would make living a healthy life so much easier. I mean, everybody just wants to be told, this is what you need to do. And this literally tells you, look, this is what's going on with you specifically. This is what you need to do. So let me just ask you, where, if somebody wants to work with you, where can they find you? I will add all of this obviously in the show notes for people, but what's the best place to get a hold of you and to find out everything that you do?
Connect with Larisa. This is the place where they can book a discovery session with me if they want to find out more. 10 years back, there is a free guide there with my favorite age reversal hacks. So that's another place. And then keepglowing.com is the place where we announce our upcoming free masterclasses. We do this every 6-8 weeks. So that's another place to check.
Fantastic.
For those interested.
Wonderful. Well, I hope everybody goes and checks this out. I think we can all benefit from kind of this glimpse inside of ourselves and being able to kind of take the steps to really living vitally. So Larisa, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.